let's head into the papers now, see, what the headlines are this morning. And I have with me leadership and communication strategist, Dr. Wan John, as well as political technocrat, Dr. Dayo Kayode. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
It's Monday.
Yeah.
Thank God it's Monday, Mike. How are you?
I hope we had a great celebration during the Yuletide.
Of course. I travel around the Southwest. And,
okay.
Interesting. I never knew we could celebrate like that.
Ah, fine. You know, Nigeria is the country that, you know, so many things are so unpredictable. When you think it is so bad, it becomes so good.
And so also we saw a lot of people cooking Nigerian rice.
Oh, yeah.
And then Nigerian jollof.
Okay. All right, you had to take us there. Let's begin with Blueprint newspaper now. Blueprint says, Commissioner says, 119-year-old civil servant on Zamfara payroll. And job seekers buy slot for 250,000 naira. State to charge culprits to court. And Matawali sets up committee on minimum wage. All that is in Zamfara State. 19-year-old civil servant on Zamfara payroll. Okay. From there, let's go to Business AM. It's a business morning. The LGR policy creates 1 trillion naira new loans to provide to the private sector in 5 months. Okay. From there, let's go to the Nigerian News Direct. And this is talking about the 37 billion naira National Assembly renovation budget. SERAP others drag Buhari Senate to court. All right. I guess this will interest my guests to talk about shortly when we begin and we open discussions on this. From the Nigerian News Direct, let's go to the Daily Times. Daily Times is saying the ACF to federal government, that's the Arewa Consultative Forum, deploy modern technology in tackling insecurity and urges all levels of government to bring succor to Nigerians. And he also talks about through effective implementation of 2020 budgets and calls for synergy between the executive, judiciary, others to fast-track pending cases of corruption. Okay, that's what you see on the Daily Times. From there, let's go to the Daily Trust, which will be our last paper for now. How reps MDAs differ on 1.4 trillion naira unremitted funds. Probe not to intimidate agencies, as the chief whip is saying this. All right, gentlemen, you will like this story on the front page of the Nigerian News Direct that talks about the 37 billion naira National Assembly renovation budget. We know that SERAP, Enough is Enough, budget, and several other agencies and individuals, you know, close to about over 500 people have signed this. We've also heard from a member of the House of Rep who is vehemently against that amount of money, against the renovation, 37 billion naira for the renovation of the National Assembly. I wonder how this comes to you. Dr. Let me start with you on this.
I'm surprised that Nigerians are surprised about this kind of thing.
Surprised that Nigerians are surprised?
Honestly, I'm surprised. Because it is a culture of government. You see it in the National Assembly today, but it happens even at your local level. You know, when you do business with government, and we as a people, I think we have got to a point that we have taken it as a culture that government can spend any amount of money on any project. That's why a 1 kilometer, there was a road construction in a place, I think in Ondo State, by an individual. And they said this individual spent so amount of money. And people were saying, if this road had been constructed by government, they know government will spend times 10 of it.
Exactly.
So this is the culture of government. So that's why I was a little surprised that we are surprised. But again, this reality will help us as we move forward. It has opened the eye of an average Nigerian. The question people kept asking is that, okay, how much did they even build the entire building when the building was built? If you need as much as 37 billion naira, not even at a time that like this, that Nigerians are suffering. You see, if you want to build a great nation, you don't continue to create gap between those that are governing the people and those that are being governed. I think there's too much of a gap, and at every point in time, they come to rub it on our faces that we have to do this thing and we can do it and nothing will happen.
All right. Dr. Kayode, a member of the House of Reps stood against his own colleagues by saying, no, he's against the release of earmarking 37 billion naira for renovation of the National Assembly. He was saying that that money can go a long way in renovating schools, primary schools, secondary schools, even the tertiary institutions that are in dilapidated state. And we see their pictures every day. Sometimes the children sit on the bare floor to learn and all of that. How does that resonate with you?
Yeah, in fact, when I first of all heard about that house arrest man, it just made me to remember the lady also who is a Democrat that was also against the impeachment of Donald Trump in America. But having said that, let's come back to this 37 billion naira. One, how much was that building cost when it was built? I think in 1999 or so. How much? From my own research.
It was built during the military era.
From my own research, it was built with about 7 billion. Now, let us calculate the inflationary rate at that time to this time. What is it? Then how come that's 37 billion? Is it that they want to rebuild the old complex or what? All right? But then, that now tells us the kind of lawmakers we have elected. Because out of all of them, if it's just one that is saying, no, this thing is wrong, then you can now imagine the kind of people that are there. Of recent, I was reading news over the weekend. I saw that even budget, this our budget, incoming budget, has been padded with some amount. Okay? So you can see the kind of I don't want to use that word shit that they are rubbing on our faces. And then you don't want people to talk. But having said that, I also want to congratulate SERAP and all budget and others that have taken this seriously and then suing the federal government as regards the issue.
All right. Now, the president has signed the budget into law. Yeah. So as we stand right now, the budget for 2020, which earmarks 37 billion, is constitutional. So going to court to restrain the National Assembly on one hand to request and ask for that money and also restrain the federal government from releasing that money to National Assembly. Where does that stand?
Yeah, it is actually possible. Signing budget is not the same thing as having access to fund to execute project. In fact, we have some projects that are in the budget and you never get fund to execute them. So they still have an opportunity of restraining government from actually releasing the fund to them. But again, it brings us to the question of the health of our budgetary system. You see, over time, we have this copy and paste system of budgeting, that one particular project keeps appearing in the budget year in, year out, either on the side of the executive, on the side of the legislators, or even
especially things like furnishing,
simple things like that. And by the time you put all these monies together, it put burden on the Nigerian state. Then again, who checks the National Assembly? The essence of the National Assembly is actually to look through the allocations here and there within the budget. But when they put in their own, who checks them? That's why we see this thing that we are doing in Nigeria. We need technical people that will be able to look into things in details. I know that the budget is actually very voluminous. I don't expect Mr. President to read from A to Z, but that's the essence of having assistants who are going to peruse this thing, look
dissect
through,
everything and bring the salient issues to
Mr. President, you need, because this thing has actually rubbished whatever even the executive is saying about wanting to manage money, about putting tax on people, about thinking that they want to develop the people and be collecting more money from them. At the end of the day, an average Nigerian thinks that, okay, maybe the essence of all this thing is for the people in authority.
But Mark you, saying that the budget is voluminous for the president to read doesn't hold water with me, because that is why he is the executive. And mark you, the way I'm saying this thing is like as if rub my back, I rub your back.
Of course.
Are you aware of the humongous amount that the president is also about to borrow the other 30 whatever billion dollars.
$30 billion.
So
Do
give
you
me
understand?
approval for mine,
Give me
and I'm
approval
going to
for
look
mine.
away from
Since I
yours.
have approved, then some other things you also pass through.
It's okay.
Do you understand?
All right, we have to leave you here now. So, Dr. Dayo Kayode, thank you so much for your insight into this. Dr. John, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Listening.
All right.
And I have with me in the studio leadership and communication strategist Dr. Ojon and political technocrat Dr. Dayo Kayode. Gentlemen, compliments of the
Good morning.
season.
Good to
see you as well.
You're welcome back from the Caribbean.
Thank you very much. All right, we head straight to the papers now, and we'll begin with the blueprint. Commissioner, 119-year-old civil servant on Zamfara payroll, job seekers buy slot for 250,000 naira, state to charge culprits to court. Mutawale sets up committee on minimum wage. Enter the business AM. LDR policy creates 1 trillion naira new loans to private sector in 5 months. On the front page of the Nigerian News Direct, 37 billion naira National Assembly renovation budget. SERAP others drag Buhari Senate to court. To the Daily Times now, at the Arewa Consultative Forum to the federal government, deploy modern technology in tackling insecurity. Urges all levels of government to bring succor to Nigerians through effective implementation of 2020 budgets. Calls for synergy between executive, judiciary, others to fast-track pending cases of corruption. And finally, on the front page of the Daily Trust, how reps MDAs differ on 1.4 trillion naira unremitted funds, probe not to intimidate agencies, Chief Whip. All right, gentlemen, we'll be looking at the story on the front page of the Daily Times. The Arewa Consultative Forum to the president is asking, to the federal government rather, is asking for certain key areas that a lot of Nigerians, you would agree with me, are concerned about. It's talking about deploying modern technology to tackle cases of insecurity. Also looking at the fact that budget implementation, especially the 2020 budget, saying that there has to be implementation at all levels to bring succor to Nigerians, and also calling for the synergy between executive, judiciary, and others fast-tracking cases of pending cases of corruption. Gentlemen, I'd like for you to weigh in on this issue. Talking about the issues of insecurity, we have been fighting this over time now. Since 2009, we have fought issues of insecurity, banditry, kidnapping, and talking about deploying technology has been what a lot of Nigerians have been asking for, and perhaps looking forward into the year 2020. I don't know what your projections will be. Asauti, Dr. Kayode.
Yeah, thank you, Veronica. While I wouldn't want to sound alarming, I want Nigerians to know that when seeing no insecurity yet, we're just about to start.
How do you mean? Why did you say that?
I will tell you. Bearing in mind that presently, we don't even have enough facilities, infrastructure, to monitor our borders. Now our borders, as from the next 2 days now, 1st of January, is going to be opened wide for Africans to come in. All right?
Are they coming through our borders?
Where are they going to be coming in through? How do we monitor them? Presently now, even in the north, they have been shouting. I've been seeing, some of my friends from the north have been calling me. Now look at the influx of people from Mali, from Niger.
Are you talking about a particular video that was trending?
Oh, I mean, those are the issues. Do you understand? Presently, we are fighting insecurity. Now you are now opening our borders wild again for all these people to come in. How do we monitor what they are bringing in? All right, that is an aspect. Number two, for the past 2-3 years, I've been talking about Niger Comsat. We have Niger Comsat here. We have people in Rectas. Rectas is in Ife. They also, because I have used part of this thing before to monitor some activities in Nigeria when I was doing my PhD field work, okay? Where have we put all these people? With NIGER-COMSAT, we should be able to monitor our borders because we have our satellites in the orbit. And this is a place that you put in money every year. With NIGER-COMSAT, you can see movements of people here and there. Then you can now transmit such to Air Force. But we now...
it's not like we do not know these things, Dr.
But, yeah.
Why are we holding back on doing what is necessary?
Traditionalism. Traditionalism is simply, this is the way we've been doing it. And I've repeatedly said that you can't be doing something in a familiar way and expect a fantastic result. So I think government has a system, and the system is not helping us to be innovative. 21st century is not a century of experience, it's that of innovation. And once you keep recycling, I don't want to use people, I want to use mindset. Once you keep recycling mindset, that this is how we have always done it, and you continue to have this kind of familiar result. Like he said now, if all our custom officers in Nigeria line up from south to north, they can't get to middle belt. That shows that we are limited when it comes to number. But technology can go a very long way. I gave a very simple analysis sometimes ago, and it happened to me. It was on a rainy Monday morning. I was driving out of my house, and I met an Okada man knocked down on the road. And everybody, you know the Lagos style, and everybody was just driving past. I got there, I parked with compassion. I wanted to actually rescue this young man. But something came to my mind, that what if I carry this man into my vehicle, and this man gives up? How do I narrate to the police? And what will have been the cure of that is simple, what's it called? The camera, what do they call the camera? CCTV. If there's a CCTV there, I would have rescued the young man with the belief that at least he's going to, the CCTV by extension will also rescue me.
Yeah.
These are simple things that we have taken for granted in Nigeria. When they awarded this Ikorodu, my 12th road, when I saw the amount of money, I thought they wanted to expand the road until I got to know that, oh, they only wanted to put a BRT. And after building the road, I accosted one of the contractors. Does it mean that with this amount of money, you will not put simple CCTV on this road and you collect this kind of money? But this is the lifestyle of an average Nigerian government practice. They just come, this is how we do it, they build road. Every year, there's an allocation for some of these organizations that are supposed to help us technology-wise.
Absolutely.
But the government is not interested. And it's not about this present administration. Government over time is not interested in technology development. All we are interested in is how to win the next election.
But the issue is, let me pick that mindset, which you spoke about. Governance is about mindset, all right? Mindset in terms of the political will to do certain things, all right? And when the will is not there, according to Bob Marley, there will never be a way. Mark you, some of these people that are now talking about that should synergize for budgets to be executed. I know of one or two governors who presently now are just need to become the next president of the country. Where do you think their mind will be? Their mind wouldn't be in governance of their states, rather on how to become the next president. The whole money in the budget, they'll be looking for how to cut corners, to amass wealth, to be able to prosecute what they are planning for in 2023. And to that extent,
so where do Nigerians get succor from?
To that extent, our socio-economic well-being is never on their mind.
Where do Nigerians get succor from? Seeing the report from the World Bank that more Nigerians may sink deeper into poverty.
Exactly.
With all of this.
Exactly.
You see, we all know the cure. It's like the problem of Nigeria is not a lack of knowledge. It's inability to do what we know. Everybody in Nigeria knows. In 2014, the World Bank says, oh, to cure the problem of poverty all over the world, simple statistics, allocate more resources to people living in abject poverty. But when government does this, when they say they want to give money to people living in abject poverty, first, they give it as their own share of the national cake. That's first. And this is how they make the scenario. They first of all target people in their political party. Poverty is not resident in one political party. Poverty is resident in Nigeria. And it is scary that 70% of Nigerian people are living under the poverty line. Even the vice president came out sometimes to say about 100 million Nigerians are extremely very poor. So government knows what to do. But once you continue to prioritize bitter and partisan politics, you will not be able to do what is right. And
but what is the role of people, the people themselves now?
And I'm coming there now. I'm coming there now. Poverty is like an allocation. You sign for it on the day of election. The day it happens first, when politicians want to punish the people, they make money the matter during election. When people want to accept poverty to their life, they also make money the matter during election. It starts on the day you cast your ballot. The last Kogi election, there were options. People decided to choose the one they chose. In the coming election, there will be options. But because people think that poverty is a product of the pocket, but until you conquer the problem of empty pocket, you will think that money is the problem. Here we are.
Your final word, Dr. Kayode.
Well, my final word is that people should just be reasonable. They should think. We should be able to think beyond the box. Let us think beyond all these little, like a senator was campaigning the other time. I saw that senator campaigning. He was throwing iron, throwing a T-shirt and all that. Of what? Nigeria, we are already in a cul-de-sac. Let us think on how to get out of all these, this cul-de-sac in which we are.
find ourselves.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, thank you for your contribution on the newspaper review this morning.
Into the papers now, see what the headlines are. And I have with me in the studio to do justice to this, leadership and communication strategist, Dr. John, and political technocrat, Dr. Dayo Kayode. Gentlemen, nice to see you join us.
Happy Monday.
Nice to see
Happy
you.
Monday. Yeah. Very soon, as we say TGIF, thank God it's Friday, we'll be saying TGIM, thank God it's Monday.
Except if that is a public holiday.
Look at this leadership.
All right, let's head to the papers now. Now, let's start from the Blueprint. The Blueprint newspaper is where we start from right now. And it says, Commissioner is revealing here that a 119-year-old civil servant is on Zamfara payroll. Job seekers buy slot for about 250,000 naira. A state to charge corporates to court. All right, Mutawale sets up committee on minimum wage. That's the governor of the state there. All right, from the Blueprint, let's go to Business AM, and it says LDR policy creates 1 trillion naira new loans to provide sector, to private sector rather, in 5 months. Okay, that's a Business AM. Let's go now to Nigerian News Direct. Nigerian News Direct is focusing on the 37 billion naira National Assembly renovation budget, and it says SERAP others drag Buhari Senate to court over that issue. Okay, from there let's go to Daily Times. All right, Daily Times is saying ACF to federal government, that's the Arewa Consultative Forum, deploy modern technology in tackling insecurity, and urges all levels of government to bring succor to Nigerians through effective implementation of 2020 budgets, and calls for synergy between the executive, judiciary, others to fast-track pending cases of corruption. All that you will see on the front page of the Daily Times. Now, Daily Trust is the last paper we're looking at this morning, and is saying how reps, MDAs differ on 1.4 trillion naira unremitted funds. Probe not to intimidate agencies, as the chief whip is saying this. All right. I guess we should remain on this issue right now, which will interest my guests. Well, the issue of unremitted funds to the federal government is not new. It's been on for a long time, even before the TSA kick-started. And when TSA came, Nigerians were expecting, okay, all government agencies, no sacredness in anything. All of them should send monies into the TSA so that the government account will be one. But up until now, from the reports we're getting and the news we're getting, is that so many agencies of government don't remit funds to the federal government as at when due. Dr. Kayode, I wonder how this comes up to you.
Is it as at when due, or they don't even remit at all?
Okay.
And then they will now create one thing or the other that they will now do towards the end of the year to be able to siphon the money. You know that I think the first time this thing came out in Nigeria was when we were having one minister of health there, Grejo, what's his name?
Yeah.
And then that involved Yabo Obasanjo when she was in the Senate and all
Chairman
that.
Senate Committee on
Chairman
Health.
Senate Committee on Health, and then the health minister, Madam Grejo, so you know. You could see how much money that are being stolen secretly in this country. Now we are having a chief whip. I say, okay, let us see this money being returned on
But
time.
there's even always the difference between how much the actual money is and all of that. You will say, no, this is how much. I will say, no, this is not how much. This is how much.
The best way is to monitor our budgets. But when this money is being budgeted for a particular project, what percentage of that budget were we able to execute for that year? To that extent, we'll be able to know how much percentage of allocated funds that were also spent for that year. But the question is, who and who are monitoring our budgets? That is one. Two, then when this National Assembly are coming up with their oversight functions, to what extent are they also being truthful in what
Because
they are doing?
that is another opportunity.
Do you understand?
To keep the records
To
straight.
what extent? Because the National Assembly is supposed to be able to monitor these people appropriately. But what we see here and there is the MDAs too is look at, okay, I know what to do. Let us send you on course. Do you understand? They will send such on, because we all saw it during the Yabo Obasanjo in Broglo. And then they will buy your ticket, they will do this, they will do that. At the end of the day, somebody who is eating, will you be able to talk?
It's a good
You can't be eating and be talking, or else
It's against the dining
etiquette of
Our mom used to say, don't talk when you're
while
eating.
eating.
But apart from that, there's another thing I think we should look at. You see, many of these amounts of money that we hear are not actually in the budget.
Okay.
They are not released from the Ministry of Finance. Majority of this amount are actually internally generated revenue of these MDAs.
Okay.
So what they do is that if my MDA, for example, generates 5 million, instead of putting the 5 million naira into TSA, I open a secret account within the MDA where I lodge the money. Lately, it was discovered that there was an agency of government who was paying pension to his retiring staff. You know, we are on contributory pension scheme. Ordinarily, when you retire, you are supposed to go to the money holders. What do they call them? The TSA. What's the name of these people? And get your money. But this agency,
The pension administrator.
yes, made provision eternally. So if you are going on pension, they can pay you as high as 20 million naira from the account that they are holding. So some of these things, they are illegal.
So they didn't subscribe.
They didn't subscribe to the TSA.
But-
So
but-
when they are
but-
putting money in the TSA, they just put some certain percentage. And when they want to travel around the world, they just give themselves extra code from within the money they are keeping within the agency. So when you have situations like this, it's going to be very difficult. And I'm wondering, what's the essence of this individual bank number that we have, BVN? I think organizations too should have something that will link all their accounts. So somewhere in Abuja from the CBN, for example, if I log in TVC or any organization, I should know the number of accounts that the organization is having,
runs.
so that we'll be able to trace some of this money. But again, the bankers are also giving.
This
right.
thing is still
Dr.
inside the
Kayode,
budget, though,
yes,
too,
Dr. Kayode,
because you have to
before-
put in expected revenue to be generated from your
ministry.
yeah, it's also still in the budget.
All right, Dr. Kayode, before you even talk about that, just up until a few years ago, that Nigerians discovered that JAMB, for instance, could make money and remit monies to the federal government. So it means that there could be agencies like that of government here and there that monies may not have ever been remitted to federal government before, because originally they are not revenue generating agencies, but somehow from the activities monies come in. How do we tackle that as well?
There's no doubt about it that somebody there, the ministry, will tell me that they don't know that JAMB has been generating such a money before. But like I said, when you are on table eating, you don't talk. It is just because the head of that jam at that time just made up his mind, hey, look, I'm not going to share this thing with you. I'm going to come up with this money. And that is why we were able to see it. All right? But the onus is on we people that have not been able to follow up some of these things. It's just that these days we are now opening up our brain to see. That is, which is a function of our exposure, enlightenment, and social media activities that we are now exposed to. Like somebody like you now, and somebody like you now. If you have a friend in one or two of these MDAs and want to conduct investigative journalism, you can always talk to your friend, and before you know, it will pass those data to you through your WhatsApp. You don't need to just go there and be copying or doing photocopy. No. So with that, we are now being exposed to some of these figures coming out.
So
we now have to step up. We now have to step up, especially you journalists, to do more of investigative journalism. Then some of us who are also there that goes around to get one thing or the other should also step up our activities towards getting information and then feeding the people and then let them know that enough is enough.
In fact, by this information coming out is the function of the media bringing this up already, so it's fine. Thank you very much, Dr. Dayakaide, for your insight into this.
Thank you.
Dr. John, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Right.